then get arrested so as to establish a case that could be argued at a later date in court and hopefully lead to a decision that would overthrow separate and not equal. Within hours, they would then get bailed out, and many would come straight to the Holman basement to tell their stories to Julian Bond, who was one of the writers of the Committee on Appeal document, as well as managing editor of the paper. He had been a student at Morehouse College, but had to put that on hold for the time being. I bided my time rambling around the basement, looking over textbooks belonging to Holman, who wrote under the pen name Vox. In time, I felt the need to get out of the basement and into the streets myself, not as a participant, but as an observing servant of the people. And in a few years, I traveled from the streets of Atlanta to the streets up and down the East Coast, where there may not have been Jim Crow laws, but the pattern and practice of racial discrimination had the same effect on my people. So, along with my clothes, I packed my racial consciousness. And while some of my clothes wore out from time, my people and their stories kept my consciousness fresh and responsive to their ongoing challenges. For while their consciousness kept them focused on how far they had come, in many instances, it also helped them, and me, keep their eyes on what continued and continues to be an elusive prize: equality and justice for all. At one point, in 1967, following 4 summers of riots protesting inequality around the country, a National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders was created by President Lyndon B. Johnson to address the cause of the disturbances. The commission ultimately concluded that the country was moving toward 2 societies, one white and privileged, one black and unequal. It included in the blame the mostly white media. And while corrective steps were taken in all areas, including the media, all these years later, inequality persists, even in many well-funded and well-staffed and even prize-winning news organizations. The protests sparked by police killings of Black people over the last few years have caused another period of soul-searching, a moment to dig deeper, as clearly the racist demons of our past still haunt us. Even as Georgia voters sent Raphael Warnock, its first ever Black senator, to Congress in 2020, shortly thereafter, the Georgia legislature passed numerous bills that will undoubtedly lead to voter suppression that will disproportionately affect Black turnout if not overturned. But if the past has any lessons for the present and the future, look no further than John Lewis, who was among the civil rights activists who led the fight that culminated in the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which removed legal barriers at the state and local levels that had prevented Blacks from exercising their right to vote, a right that had been guaranteed under the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Today, his name is attached to a voting rights bill that would stifle yet another effort aimed at reducing the voice of Blacks at the ballot box, this one by a Supreme Court ruling in 2013. While the challenges keep on coming, Black history teaches us that the civil rights movement's anthem of "Keep on Keeping On" yields positive results. Thus, we learn from our history the value of insisting on our full rights as citizens. For as I have written before, we are heirs to a legacy of struggle. But struggle that was, as Martin Luther King taught, ennobling. Struggle that was enabling us to take control of our destiny. In My Place, 1992. Dispute Center opens in Harlem. The New York Times, May 28, 1975.